I'm an outdoor guide. I work hard and I walk lightly. I take care of my gear. That's why these work boots have been going strong for 10 years and they'll go further. There is so much hypocrisy in the outdoor gear world where trail shoes and boots are designed to last only 500 miles. I'm opposed to that sort of culture as a true environmentalist and a conservationist. Don here, welcome back to On the Scout. Why should you take care of your footwear? If you don't take care of your boots and your shoes, you support consumerism and disposable culture. Greta Thunberg will feel very, very bad for you. Also, you're gonna have cold and wet feet. For my work boots, whether it be mountaineering, hunting, or hiking, I choose some sort of leather. It's a tougher, long-lasting material. It protects my feet and it increases the waterproofness and longevity. I'm in this industry for the long term and my shoes are a testament to that. There's a huge movement out there right now for trail hikers to go with low top fabric high drain shoes. Emphasis on trail hikers, Pacific Crest Trail hikers, Appalachian Trail hikers. Trail hikers are pushing low, non-supportive, disposable shoes. That's fine, they're gonna stay on the trail and they come off a little bit, but mainly they're on a groomed path. My work as a mountaineering guide, as a hunting guide, it's a lucky day that I get to walk on a dirt road or a trail itself. I am always off trail in the mud, slush, and snow. My care regime of my footwear reflects that. And also, all of my care for my footwear happens in the field or at base camp. This isn't gonna be a video where I have a dry, heated room. I'm gonna do everything outdoors and show you how I take care of my stuff, working for months at a time in the mountains. My choices of leather, boots, and footwear reflect the longevity that I intend to stay in this industry. No matter what your vegan cousin says, leather is the most durable, long-lasting, environmentally friendly material man has ever invented for footwear. Let's get into the different types of leather and how to take care of them in the field. TLDR, I take care of all these leathers essentially the same way. It's just easier. So types of leather. It's been commonly held that the highest grade of leather is full grain or top grain leather. For example, these Altberg British military boots are made of full grain leather, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're the highest quality of leather. These Meindl Himalayan MFS, like memory foam system boots, these are light duty mountaineering boots. They're made of nubuck leather. And I would argue, just because a full grain pair of leather boots has that top level of leather remaining and the nubuck has it buffed off, doesn't mean it's better leather. Just by looking at how this 10-year-old pair of mountaineering boots by Meindl has aged as nubuck, it's been oiled, it's been waxed, you can actually see the grain still, versus this heavily pigmented, which means painted on full grain leather. These Altbergs, these are only 4 years old. They look a lot worse. They've taken a lot worse a patina and they don't take in product as well because they've been painted over. Just beware when you hear the word premium leather or top grain that it means it's the best. It doesn't always mean that. I would say the Meindls, being a nubuck boot, are still long shot ahead in quality of leather overall. So full grain, nubuck, let's talk about other types of leather. The next commonly seen types of footwear leather are suede, by a long shot. Suede in these desert type boots. You commonly see this type of boot because the Western world has had many decades of adventure in desert countries, and this type of boot is very ubiquitous. Suede is the lowest grade of leather because the grain has been shaved off and it's been basically this is just the bottom half, the bottom or middle half of the leather. It's very breathable. It is not very water resistant. It's very stretchy. This mountaineering boot, this is a Zamberlan Mountain Expert mountaineering boot. It's also made of suede, presumably a higher grade, tighter piece of suede. It is a little bit different looking than this desert suede because this has been heavily waxed and treated for waterproofing because a mountaineering boot is going to be in snow, ice, and rain all the time, whereas a desert boot is going to enjoy dustier, fair weather. Over here on this side, this is the Kenetrek LPC leather personnel carrier. It is a light duty mountain boot designed for the military. It's a rough out leather. So it is a full grain leather turned in reverse where the rough bottom half of the leather is facing the outside and the outer skin hair side is facing the inside of the boot, or in this case, facing the waterproof insulated booty on the inside. The rough out leather is a not commonly used leather configuration these days. In World War I, World War II, it's very common because you can soak in a lot of waterproofing, but these days most manufacturers if they have a flesh out leather, it's going to be suede. Most boots have a liner or a Gore-Tex booty or some sort of membrane underneath the leather, so the waterproofing isn't as important these days. Let's go into how to take care of these various types of leather. So this suede boot has just been on a hog hunt with me, so all these actual little speckles that I can't wash off, It's actually hog blood and hog fat. So we're gonna try to get this stain out of these suede desert boots. Let's get our tools together. We're gonna need a set of really tough brushes. Some suede kits come with a metal brass brush, but I don't have one of those. I just use plastic bristle brushes here. I'm gonna try to brush the boots off, and I'm also gonna use a leather cleaning product. If you're in the field and you couldn't bring a bottle of actual leather cleaner, some dish soap or hand soap will do just fine to try to get the worst blood and oil stains out of suede, which is the most stain-grabbing leather. It has all these pores and fibers, and it's just so easy for this type of leather to get stained. It's a surprise that the military even uses this type of boot, how hard it is to clean. Okay, let's try to clean it. Let's go over the sun here real fast. This is some Angelus shoe cleaner. It says suede, leather, and it says basically every material, nubuck, canvas, everything. So you can also use saddle soap. In this case, I'm just using the product. Let's go ahead and pour some all over the offending boot with all the soiling. Get my brush and really rub it in. Suede is normally very easy to take care of, except for situations like this, where there's oil and blood involved. And already my left hand inside this boot, I feel the cleaning solution soak right through this suede, and my hand is feeling the dampness through the leather. Now that this boot has been scrubbed off with cleaner, let's let it dry out in a cool, dry, ventilated place. Or in this case, we'll use a boot dryer. Let's place them in the sun to help them dry faster. If your camp has access to a generator or a solar system, some do, or some are right at the trailhead, you can use a battery-powered boot drying system like this one. This one sucks in air and generates a tiny bit of warmth, and it doesn't weigh too much. Let's let this dry before we go to the next step. Let's clean and waterproof this pair of Zamberlan suede mountaineering boots. First step, I need to get the laces off. With one of my bristle brushes, I'm going to really scrub all the bits of mud and dust and old pieces of wax off of this leather, because any sand, grit you leave on the leather and put more product in, you create like a cutting paste or polishing paste. It'll wear out the fibers of your leather. So I have this brush. It has a little pick on this full piece, this one piece upper here. This is called like a Nordic tongue, and I can use this scraper to scrape off the old pieces of wax from underneath there, because a lot of wax and dirt and volcanic grit build up under there. Put my hand inside the boot, open it up a bit, brush all that. Now that we've brushed all of the foreign objects we can out of it within reason, I'm actually going to treat this boot with two different products. This kind of vulnerable area where the creases are, where water can enter the fibers of the leather, I'm going to treat with a liquid product to really seep deeply into the fibers of this boot. So this is Obenauf's leather oil. A little bit goes a long way, so I'm gonna get most of it off of the applicator. Stays very liquidy even in cold conditions, which is why I really like this for some boots. Soak it into areas where snow and slush and rain can really get into. Pay special attention to go around the eyelets, because eyelets are a hole in the leather upper. I'm avoiding getting any on the rubber edge of the rand. The rand is to protect it from rocks and water, and if too much oil gets over near the rand, then you can actually begin to damage the glue that holds that rubber rand on. Anywhere away from the rand can take a little bit of this leather oil. If any leather is kind of staying on the surface of the boot, I can just use the dabber and soak it up. This isn't actually the best waterproofer, but it's the easiest to apply in cold conditions in the field. So again, dab and sponge off the sanding oil and move it to other parts of the boot that can soak it up. Any place that looks kind of ashy and dry, these boots are over 10 years old. I bought them back in 2013. I've been ice climbing, mountaineering. These boots probably have 24 summits of Mount Rainier and dozens of summits of Mount Baker under them. They're still running strong because I take care of them, I maintain them. You see patches and repairs all over them. Together. The next product I like to use is the boot wax. Kenetrek advertises that their product, despite being a wax paste, is safe for rubber rands of boots. So on their boots, if you use any other product on this for a Kenetrek boot, you'll void the warranty. There's no warranty left on these Zamberlans, but I still don't want to lose my rubber rand. As you can see, it's been repaired to keep on the boot. I'm going to use this product and really get the edges by the rubber rand where it connects to the leather. Use this brush and applicator. I don't have to be as careful with this. I'm going to really brush this on, starting from the rubber rand and moving up to all parts of the boot. I'm actually going to go over and re-waterproof areas that I had already done with the oil. to really give a second coating of protection over these more vulnerable areas where there are creases, folds, and seams. If you don't have a brush, having your work gloves on as you waterproof your boots accomplishes 2 tasks at the same time. Guides only have 1 day off a week, so we value our spare time. We don't work harder, we work smarter. Some people could say that's lazy. I call it very, very efficient. Massage all this oil and wax onto the boot. Now that that's done, I'm gonna set it into a sunny spot. I'm not gonna put any leather boot near a wood stove or a direct heat source like a propane heater at hunting camp, because that'll fossilize the leather, or at the very least, it'll delaminate the glue of the sole and the rand and make the boot begin to come apart. All right, let's go put this in the sun and let the sun push the last bit of oil and wax into the boot. Here's the other boot, the before. You can see all the grit and sand and how dry it is from being in the alpine sun and snow. And now you can see how darkened and moisturized the treated boot looks. So earlier in the video, I had to clean hog blood off this suede desert boot, and it's been over an hour and it's still drying in the sunlight, even with the electric boot dryers in it. It just shows you how suede can soak in water so easily. It's not an ideal material in anything but the hottest, driest environments. That's why it's a desert boot. So I treated the most common type of leather boot, the suede boot. Whatever type of leather you're using for your footwear, whether it be nubuck, full grain, or rough out, you can use the same products and techniques. Step 1, get all the dirt, mud, grit off the boot, dry it out as much as you can without using direct heat sources. After it's dry, do another brush over, get all the remaining bits out, and apply as strong a product as your boot can bear. Choose the heavy duty oils and waxes. I use LP a lot because it's really easy to apply while at a base camp. It's quick. A lot of folks swear by Snow Seal, a very common product. The more REI crowd, the more hiker crowd really likes Nikwax. This is probably the most expensive and lowest quality waterproofing product I've ever used. It works probably like 5 minutes. Those of you that actually bought some of this probably can go in the comments and confirm it, or you'll die on that hill saying this is a better product. It's environmentally friendly, which means it barely works, sadly. So I might use a product that doesn't advertise itself as environmentally friendly and still have dry feet, because that's really in the end the priority. If you're in a hurry and you have to get product on your boot, you can just go right over the laces, as long as you can get into the nooks and crannies. The oil doesn't hurt the laces, it'll actually make the laces slightly more waterproof. The desert boot is still here with its boot dryers in the sun, still just soaked. Let's lace this boot up and take an opportunity to make sure this lace is still serviceable. Looking for any fraying or damage. Yep, this fraying and damage. Probably get by 1 more trip out of these laces. These laces are as old as the boot, which is a bit of a risk. Before I put them on, I'm just gonna do a pull check. They won't just simply break. Laces are too, the aglets, the ends here. A lot of climbers and hunters get confused with this style of lacing is taking the boot off. Undo the laces like I'm taking the boot off, and a lot of folks try to unthread from the webbing. Don't do that. Just pull a bit of slack in, undo these locking eyelets, and now the entire boot is loosened up. You can pull your foot in and out quite easily. Let's take these down to the creek and see how water resistant these are with the LP product and the Kenetrek boot wax. Let's visualize how the waterproofing works. Non-waterproofed. A tiny bit of water's soaking into the surface. For suede, it's unavoidable how much water gets soaked into the fibers because you're exposing the fibers, the vulnerable part of the leather, to the elements. The waterproofing keeps a little bit more of that soaking effect at the creases out of the leather. Inside the boot can't breathe as well when the outer leather is soaked. Let's check out the treated boot. Easy to see, the water's beating off. Just because it's beating up water right now doesn't mean it's truly waterproof. Treated leather really only keeps the water out for an hour, but that's 1 more hour of breathability. And overall, even this dry, untreated boot has a lot of residual waterproofing from the decade of treatments I've given it. So there's still an interest built up if you take care of your gear. Take care of your boots and they'll take care of you. It took 3 hours of drying with the heated fan boot dryers and some direct sunlight. So the next step for maintaining desert boots is I'm gonna go ahead and brush, and you can see the coloration is coming back to that light. Here's what they normally look like. As I brush them and clean off all the laid down nap, they go back to being a nice light color, which is perfect for the sands of Afghanistan or Iraq or Iran or wherever people are having adventures these days. In this case, I'll keep them untreated for now because desert boots work better when they're breathable. What do you think about the way I treat my leather boots? Is this how you do it? Did you learn something? Do you have a better way to treat your boots? Are you a thru hiker whose feelings I hurt and you're convinced everybody should be in low top fabric shoes? Leave a comment. That's where all the discussion on this channel happens. If you want to support niche content like this, join us on Patreon or become a YouTube member. All the early releases and uncensored content is through those channels. If you can't, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I'm Don, on the Scout.